These people, whoever they were likely homeless, possibly addicts, but definitely dangerous, and they had been living in his house for over a week. He had even joked earlier that night about how fast his food disappeared, even though he barely ate. Suddenly, it all made sense. As far as we know, none of them were ever caught. Beat. Soft transition music begins. I remember it like it was yesterday. My first sleepover, an important part of my childhood. It was at my good friend's house, Jordan. We were both 10 years old. He had a huge basement, perfect for video games until like 1 in the morning. We crashed on the couches, didn't even bother brushing our teeth. Felt like rebels. I fell asleep fast, but at some unknown time, I woke up. The TV was still on, just a blank screen, soft glow, but just enough light to see something. In the far corner of the basement, by the stairs, there was a tall object. I couldn't tell what it was. Can't even explain how it looked. All I knew was that it almost reached the ceiling. Then the TV turned off. The room went dark, and I was frozen. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I shut my eyes. Didn't move. Didn't even breathe. I don't remember falling asleep again. Just waking up to the sound. Screaming. From upstairs. It was Jordan's mom. Jordan woke up too. We looked at each other, then bolted upstairs to his parents' room. His mom was crying. His dad, tearing the room apart, yelling, searching. He pushed past us, rushed down the hall, looking everywhere. But the house was empty. No signs of entry or exit. I'm still friends with Jordan to this day. Last time I brought it up, he said his mom doesn't talk about it. But once, she admitted it. She said she saw something standing by their bedroom door that night. A tall, dark figure. And I'm sure that's what I saw in the basement too. Ran straight to Paul's room. This time, he took me seriously. He got the key, walked with me to the door beside mine. He unlocked it, and immediately a breeze hit us. The window wide open. The closet? Open too. We searched the whole room. The bed had impressions on it, like someone had just been lying there. Closet had empty bags. The drawers were cleaned out. His valuable stuff? Gone. Paul suddenly bolted out into the hallway. I followed him instantly. He was already unlocking the other guest bedroom, and the second he opened the door, we saw it. A black figure, jumping out the window onto the patio roof. Paul started to chase, almost leapt after him, but we both stopped. Ran outside the proper way through the back door. He was already gone, but maybe that was a good thing, because what we found in that room was disturbing. The white sheets on the bed, stained with blood. The closet floor, there it was. Paul's butcher knife. A few dried blood spots on it. And again, everything valuable gone. I said I'd only stay for one night. Didn't want to be a bother. He put me in one of the guest bedrooms. Surprisingly, he has 3 of them, but only ever uses one. He told me the other 2 are locked up, just storing stuff, or maybe for future parties. All the guest rooms are lined up side by side. Paul's room is across the hall. Weird setup, but I heard it. A strange noise, coming from the next room over. I figured it was Paul, maybe doing something in there. But it kept going. Got annoying. So I walked over and tried the doorknob. Locked. I cracked open Paul's door and asked him what the noise was. He was already in bed. Swore he hadn't heard a thing. When I asked why the doors were locked, he said he kept personal stuff in there. Important stuff. I warned him about the noise. He told me to just go back to bed, and if I heard anything else, come back. So I did. And weirdly, the noise stopped. Half an hour passed. I was finally drifting off when I heard something again. A tap. On the wall. From the other side. Then a faint voice. I shot out of bed. So I did something that feels incredibly stupid in hindsight. I turned on the backyard lights. And that's when I saw him. In the distance. Just beyond the yard. He was standing there. In front of a tree. Staring back at me. Then, without warning, he turned around and disappeared into the woods. That was the last time me or Anthony ever saw him. I'd be lying if I told you there were more creepy moments after that, like knocks on windows or cliché nightmares. No, that was it. 5 years have passed, and nothing has ever happened again. Do I wonder if it was all somehow linked to that prank call? Yes, sometimes. Does it make sense? Not really. But that was the night me and my still best friend, Anthony, almost died during a break-in. Brief pause. Music fades out. Me and my wife, we've had our fair share of arguments. But there was this one night where she just wouldn't stop going off on me over the dumbest crap. It got to the point where, I forgot to put the toilet seat down, and she was screaming at me, top of her lungs, ear-piercing. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I called my buddy Paul. Told him I needed to crash somewhere. He said, "Come on over." At the time, I was exhausted. Mentally, I didn't need to deal with my crazy wife that night. Paul had a huge house, which, yeah, was another thing she always brought up, how all my friends had nicer places than we did. Anyway, we had a few beers. Talked. He told me I could stay as long as I needed. I could feel him scanning the trees. His eyes swept right over us. Then, he turned back in our direction. I ducked behind the bush. "Joe, he's coming." "What?" "Dude, get up. We've got to run." He was right. The man was coming fast. How could he have seen us? We tore through the woods, leaves crunching beneath our feet. Loud. Way too loud. Then Anthony tripped. I dropped beside him, crouched low, praying we'd run far enough. Not even 20 seconds later. Oncoming footsteps, fast, came from the direction we were running from. They slowed down, just 2 trees away from us. We lay face down in the leaves, completely still. I held my breath. Then, the footsteps suddenly took off in another direction. We waited until we could no longer hear them. Then we ran, back toward the house. While we were running, over the sound of my heavy breathing and the leaves crunching beneath us, I could swear I heard something else. More leaves. Behind us. We didn't stop. We pushed through. We made it to the backyard, through the back door, and this time, we remembered to shut it. We could finally call the police. Anthony stayed on the line with them while I kept watch near the back windows, scanning the yard. But it was too dark. I couldn't see anything. I could hear Anthony's breathing. It was too loud. Way too loud. The man walked toward the closet. We heard the coat hangers sliding, fabric rubbing against fabric. Then footsteps again, toward the bed. And then nothing. I thought my heart was going to explode. I reached over and covered Anthony's mouth with my hand. Silence. We stayed still for so long. I almost thought the man had left the room. I slowly moved my hand away and whispered, "You think we can make a run for it?" Anthony was about to answer when we heard it. A scream. A haunting, blood-curdling scream that filled the room, and Anthony was dragged out from under the bed. I scrambled out, saw him struggling with the man. I looked around, desperate for something, anything, to use as a weapon. My eyes landed on a screwdriver on the nightstand. I grabbed it, ran over, and drove it straight into the man's back. He screamed in pain and let go of Anthony. That was our chance. We bolted out of the room and down the stairs. We didn't dare run into the road. Too exposed. Too far to make it to a neighbor's house. So we dove into the tree line, hid behind a thick bush, and watched the house. The back door creaked open. The man stepped outside. He looked around the backyard, then out toward the woods. We planned on sleeping in the living room, so we just turned back to the movie we hadn't finished earlier. And then we heard it. The front storm door creaked open. The doorknob started to turn. Only halfway, the lock stopped it. Anthony quickly turned off the TV. I walked over to the window, gently opened the blinds, and there was a man. A tall man, standing right outside. He saw the blinds move. He turned and looked right at me. I let the blinds snap shut, heart racing. Anthony and I rushed into the kitchen, hiding low, listening for any more sounds. Then we heard the backyard gate creak open. "Oh no," I whispered. "I forgot to shut the back door." "Go," Anthony whispered. "Run, shut it." I ran down the hallway toward the back door and froze. There was a silhouette, a man, standing right outside, looking in. I don't think he saw me, but he was definitely peering inside. Then he opened the door and stepped in. I tiptoed back to the kitchen and signaled Anthony. "Upstairs. Now." We climbed the stairs quietly and slipped into his room, shutting the door without a sound. Then we crawled under his bed. He had cloth hanging from the sides, so no one could see under unless they lifted it. From downstairs, we heard doors opening, one by one, getting closer to the stairs. Then thumps, heavy footsteps, up the stairs. Then they stopped, right outside the door. The doorknob turned. The door opened. This happened when I was 15 years old. My best friend Anthony wanted me to come over for the night since his parents were going to be gone all weekend. I rode my bike over and put it in his backyard, then let myself in through the back door. We played basically every video game he had, from FIFA all the way to Call of Duty, with popcorn and junk food spilled out all over the floor. As the night went on, we got bored of the games, watched half a movie, then moved on to prank calls. It was close to 10. Anthony made a few calls to different pizza places. Then it was my turn. I just started dialing random numbers, hoping someone would actually pick up. On maybe the fourth attempt, someone did. A guy answered. His voice was deep, rough. He just said, "Yeah," instead of a hello. Anthony's laughing in the background totally threw me off. I stumbled mid-sentence, then burst out laughing. I'd never done a prank call before. I sucked at it. The guy on the other end didn't laugh, didn't say a word. He just stayed silent. I pulled myself together, kept a straight face, and tried again. I said, Sir, would it be all right if I borrowed one of the wheels from your car?" And then he asked, "What's your name, kid?" My name is Bob." "Really? You sure it's not?" "Anthony." It hit me like a brick. I looked up at Anthony. His face was pale, full of fear. I immediately hung up the phone. I didn't want to stay on that call for another second. "Anthony, who the hell was that?" I asked. I don't know," he said. "Does your caller ID show your name or something?" "No, it shows my dad's name." We jumped on the computer, searching up how it was even possible for someone to know a name from a phone number. But nothing made sense. He was way too young to be on any personal info sites. We even asked on Yahoo Answers. No one had any clue. I told him to call his dad, but he said he wasn't supposed to have anyone over. So he didn't want to risk it.